Dr. Phillips, we're trying to get you you gotta turn your camera on. There you go. Okay. So 1 second here. Thank you everybody for joining in. We are getting ready to get started here. We're going to turn it over to Dr. Phillips here in just a second, but people are pouring in, so we got to give it a minute here. That's a good thing. Here to learn something new. Dr. Phillips, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I'm going to add Dan Court and I'm going to add Seth. Let me find Seth here. So 1 second. Becky, you want to stop your screen share? Awesome. Okay. 1 second. I gotta find Seth. Where are you at? Hey everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm just trying to find Seth, guys. You know, he's in here somewhere. Let me do a search.
Rose, you jealous?
That's a good problem to have, right? You have to do a search. Oh, Seth, can you start your video? There you go. All right.
Yes.
No.
Ken, I
Okay.
just got back from soccer practice, so I'm just in transition. Um, so I'll be on video and on my laptop here in a few minutes.
Okay. All right. And then I have to, okay. Okay, here we go. Thank you guys for joining in. This is our Wednesday night doctor call. I am going to turn it over to Dr. Phillips here. Dr. Phillips, are you there? Oh, I don't know
I'm
which.
here.
All right, I don't know which. Hold on 1 second. Going in so fast, I click one and it moves over. All right. Okay, now we're good to go. All right, Dr. Phillips, take it away.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us, but I did want to jump start with something. Last week, I made a mistake, and I am human, and I made a mistake, and I want to clarify that so nobody repeated my mistake. But glutathione is a peptide. It is a three amino acid peptide, and but it is glycine, glutamate, and cysteine. So I made a mistake last week, and I wanted to correct that right off the top so that you all had the right information about glutathione. And I don't know why I said the other glutamic acid, but I did. So I apologize. But we're here to talk about Immunotech. And Immunotech, their flagship product is Immunical. And I'll speak a little bit, give Seth a chance to get on, and then I'll kind of bring Dan and Seth in. But uh, what I wanted to cover is just some generalities about what Immunical does, because it's a powerful molecule, and if you kind of understand the generalities of it, then you can apply it to a broader picture. And most importantly, it is not glutathione. It is a glutathione precursor. So it allows your body to make glutathione at an optimal level and upregulate glutathione. The published research proves that in 90 days, your glutathione levels will increase 35% or more. So that's significant. That will make a huge difference in most people's lives and most people's health picture. So so glutathione has four major functions. It is an immune enhancer. It is an anti-inflammatory. It is a detoxifier. And most of us have tons of toxins that we need to get out of our system. I mean, just look at the food recalls that are happening right now. And if you've optimized glutathione, you have less of a risk of those things taking hold in your system. And so also it's an antioxidant. So we have all these free radicals floating around in our bodies. And if we're able to neutralize those, it doesn't create damage, degeneration in our tissues. So it helps to protect our tissues from oxidative stress. And lastly, because everything's optimized and we don't have the toxins and we don't have the inflammation and we have optimized immune system and don't have oxidative stress, we have more energy. I think Dan can attest to that. He is always texting me first thing in the morning. and telling me what all he's done already before I even hardly look at my phone. He's texted me two or three times. So that's amazing. And he's amazing. So uh, we've invited Dan and Seth to join into this call because um, they have a
Give me a quick
background, both
call,
of them have a tremendous
please.
background in health and have several ventures and co-ventures in healthcare. And certainly they have a passion. And that's what's most important to me. They have a passion for helping people and helping people to find a good path towards health. And when we introduced Seth and Dan to Immunotech, uh, man, it was like pouring gasoline on a fire. They just really lit up and they were excited about the product, just like me. I often say, man, what I could have done with this product in my life and practice years if I'd known about it 30 plus years ago when the company started. But here we are doing the best we can with the information that we've been able to acquire in the last few months and trying to spread the word of the benefits of Immunical and Immunotech to the masses because so many people are suffering from chronic degenerative conditions. Look at all your top killers, cancer, heart disease, stroke. All these things are chronic degenerative conditions. It doesn't just happen overnight. I mean, you might suddenly die of a heart attack, but the process that led to that happens over years and years and years. And so many people, even when they come into my office and they're complaining of pain, they're like, I don't know what I did. I just bent over to pick up a pencil or something like that. But it's a process, and pretty soon the body can no longer adapt to the stresses that you're putting on it, and you have a heart attack, you have a stroke, you have sudden pain, you have all these different problems because of this accumulated stress. So what if we had something that was diminishing over time all that accumulated stress? In essence, taking out the garbage inside your body that we struggle to see until it's too late. And that's what Immunical does. It just cleans out the system and allows it to run at a better level. It's like higher octane fuel for the body. It just upregulates your energy, upregulates cellular processes. Consequently, it upregulates healing. And when healing and repairing is taking place, that's when you're putting at bay degeneration and diseases. And that's what we're about. We want everybody to live their best life. We don't want your health span to stop way short of your lifespan. And that's what most people are looking at. They have statistically, it's a 10-year gap at the end of your life between your health span and your lifespan. And we want to diminish that gap to where it comes together and someday you just, don't wake up peacefully. And and so I think this is a big piece to that puzzle. The more I understand it and the more I understand what it does. And I've understood about glutathione for years, but I haven't understood how to optimize glutathione until this product came along. And we've tried other products, but they simply don't work as effectively or as profoundly as this product. Number one, it's a precursor, so it's optimizing your body's ability to make glutathione. And that's what you always want to do when you can. You're not trying to get glutathione as a whole molecule into the body, which is very challenging to do unless you're injecting it or infusing it in an IV. And even at that, it gets sucked up very rapidly. And the fact that it gets sucked up very rapidly should be a big boom, aha moment for you, proving that our body needs glutathione. Things don't get sucked up in your body in a matter of minutes to an hour unless your body's starving for this molecule and the benefits of this molecule. But that's what research shows is you get a flash in the pan elevation of glutathione when you inject it or infuse it. All the other means, we won't go into them individually, but patches and pills and potions and lotions, They just simply don't work. There's no proven research to show that they work. So here we are bringing the facts to you guys so that you understand and can share the facts with your friends and family and benefit long term from the health and well-being of the results from this wonderful product. So that's kind of my intro. And with that, I think I'll let Dan kind of ramble a little bit and talk about what he's realized and some of the things that he's learned about Immunical.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Bruce. Appreciate it. Um, Ramble. I like that. He knows me too well. Last week I held up this book that I purchased from Dr. Jimmy Gutman, and I, found some time and I started reading it. And I really encourage everyone to get it if you have any interest in, I don't know, being healthier, maybe living longer. Um, this is a great book to read. I mean, I've made great progress in it. I've learned an enormous amount. I can't believe how much I've learned, and I am on page 4, and it goes to 302. So I mean, just the preface, the editor's note, the forward, but the first couple of pages, they list all the possible clinical applications of raised glutathione. And I mean, a lot of them hit home. As you were speaking, Dr. Bruce, and I loved what you said, the gap, between health and how long you live, and that being 10 years. And that's exactly what both of my parents experienced. So my dad, the last 10 years of his life, really suffered from COPD, emphysema, and chronic bronchitis. He was on oxygen, and it was like watching someone slowly drown in an agonizing, painful way. And he actually went into cardiac arrest 3 different times. The first time they revived him, and he was happy about it. The second time they revived him a couple of years later, and he was like, "Why did you do that?" And then the third time he had the heart attack was in bed with my mom, and she waited to make sure that he was dead before calling the funeral parlor. And she laid there with him for hours. And finally, he took like one last gasp. So she waited another hour and then called the funeral parlor because they had arranged that ahead of time. And we were all sad to see him go, but at the same time, we were kind of happy he was out of that misery and pain, and he didn't want to go through it anymore. And then I watched my mom do the same thing, but with different issues: dementia, Alzheimer's, heart disease, skin cancer, and then nerve issues. And the last few days were horrible. I mean, the last couple of years were pretty painful, but the last few days were just horrible. She was praying to everyone to let her go. And, it's not the way you want to end up. And, we spend so much money on so many materialistic things. And there's a great saying, that I heard years ago, and it was, someone was talking about, we'll see if you know who made this quote about Americans. They said Americans are funny people. They spend the first half of their lives chasing money at the expense of their health, and they spend the second half of their lives chasing health at the expense of their wealth. Bruce, you know who that is?
I don't, but I've
Ah,
heard that before.
aha, the Dalai Lama.
Oh, okay. That's
And it
great.
always stuck with me. So I'm 70. I'm sorry, my wife is driving me nuts. First out, it was freezing in here. It's like colder than an ice box, and now I'm dying. So without a jacket, I take it off. I'm 70, and I've been trying for the last 20 years to find tools that would help me to stay healthy longer in my life. And my goal, and Seth will attest to this, my goal has never been to live 1 minute longer. but to live every minute that I'm alive as healthy as possible. That's always been my goal. Now, since being introduced to Immunotech, being 70, I'm making plans for the next 50 years.
There you go. Amen.
Yeah, and to be healthy. So, and yesterday was a funny day. I was making a video because we're getting, every time we sell it to someone, we sign them up. Invariably, they're like, how do you mix this? What do you do? I can't figure it out. So I made a couple of videos for us to share with our clients. The first one was kind of funny. And then the second time I did it yesterday. I had to do 3 takes. So each time I'm doing a take, I'm taking another shot. So I never did 3 shots in a row. Boy, what a difference that makes. You can really feel it. So the part that you were just saying about how if your body needs it, it sucks it up. And I think before I was introduced to Immunotech, this is the visualization I have in my head, is I had like 2 glutathione molecules holding on for dear life, trying to keep me from dying. And now I feel like I'm a teenager again. I am up at 4 a.m. I walk to the gym. It's a mile and a half away. I work out for a couple of hours, resistance training, core training. Then I'm in the sauna. Then I walk home. And that's my morning routine. And then I work all day. And Seth and I, we're involved in a number of ventures. We're in 8 businesses, and they keep us running around the clock. And I just don't feel tired at all. I have tremendous energy. My mental faculties have never been sharper. My intuition is great. Today, I had a great call with Michael Gelb. If you can, look him up on the internet, michaelgelb.com. He has written, he's a prolific writer, speaker, leader, and he's a top martial artist, 10th Dan in Aikido. He is a top practitioner in Qigong, works with Robert Peng, and he's now traveling all over the country studying Tai Chi with the top martial artists. But we had a great conversation, and he has tremendous connections and contacts and in the health and longevity industries. So very much interested in what we're doing, and we're going to be meeting later on um, in the month. So there's just so many people. Everyone I speak to they're either interested in using the product, um, or in getting involved in the business side and helping others to use the product. But Seth and I are fortunate because we know a lot of healthcare practitioners, and many are interested in selling the product to their patients and helping, uh, their health, which is really great to hear. I mean, that's their number one concern. So I know I can ramble all night, so I'll let Seth talk.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. So I just wanted to just share a little bit about some research that I've been doing about Immunotech and specifically one of the patents that they have. And I'm not going to go into the whole presentation by any means. I'm just going to show you just 2 or 3 slides. Just kind of give you a preview of something I'm working on. Still have to go through compliance review, and I want to make sure that I do all the due diligence on the research itself. But I just kind of want to give you some preliminary information on one of the patents that Immunotech holds, which is a patent on cancer support, a Canadian patent on cancer. So did a ton of research today. Like I said, I mean, I read into it before today, but I was trying to get into deep dive to build kind of a full presentation to help as many doctors and healthcare practitioners as possible understand how to position it. Because just because there's a patent doesn't mean you can say certain things. And that's one of the cautions that obviously that Immunotech wants to follow, is because you can't market that you're treating cancer, obviously, because it's not, but it's a patent on cancer. So you just have to understand what the patent is, the research behind it, so you can position it properly and help more people that may have some challenges in that realm, or they want to support their body as naturally as possible. So one of the things that I wanted to show you was, I think this has been mentioned before, but this definitely shows up in the literature and the research, is there's a ceiling for glutathione. So there's obviously people are aware of intravenous glutathione and other glutathione products that are oral that are supposed to increase serum levels of glutathione, intramuscular, injections. There's all sorts of different things. And one of the reasons that it doesn't work, other than it not being actually in the body that long, having a short half-life and just, not being uptake into the cell, is there's a negative feedback loop. You can only increase glutathione so much. You cannot flood a cell with it. Supplementation can plausibly correct a deficit. And that's one of the things that ImmunoCal over and over and over again shows is an increase from an individual's, intracellular lymphocyte glutathione levels increase of 35% or more. So there's which is extremely significant because they always match it up with some of the symptoms that individuals will have or a specific output that they're, trying to measure with that population, like for elite athletes as an example. So the providing the precursors really is the only methodology that makes clinical sense, and is going to make sense from a result standpoint, just because it's not possible to increase it through through other means. And so the precursors are really where it's at, and the double bonded cysteine they were talking about in the literature, and I'll get into this later on when I do the full presentation. But there's cysteine in egg whites that can be isolated as well. But what the research shows is it's not as effective because the structure of that cysteine of how it's delivered to the cell is not the same as immunocal is. So therefore, they show that the structure of how immunocal with the non-denatured way is actually much more effective at increasing intracellular glutathione compared to, cysteine that's found in egg whites, just as an example. So it's pretty cool that we have the only product that's available that's patented to be able to increase that levels very effectively and responsibly. So we're not flooding it. We're creating a manufacturing powerhouse with our own cells to be able to produce exactly how much we need and elevate it to a much higher level. So that way we're going to be able to, have the benefits of increasing glutathione and not have the side effects that you could have by, trying to flood the body with extra glutathione. So this is the patent, Canadian patent, goes into a little more details. And then I wanted to talk about just briefly this is a paper that Dr. Gutman did submit in 2016. And it's in response to the understanding that the glutathione is increased um, in tumor cells. And from a medical perspective, everybody really needs to understand if you're going to recommend to a cancer patient to take immunocal or to increase glutathione, then the response from their medical professional and oncologist could potentially be that we don't want to do this because the tumor cells already have an elevated level of glutathione. But what has been, kind of shown in actually in what the hypothesis is that Dr. Gutman goes into detail of why and what happens is that a normal cell, if you provide immunocal and the cysteine and the precursors, what's going to happen is it actually increases, glutathione, as we've all been talking about. The synthesis proceeds, glutathione rises. For a tumor cell, it's already aberrant. It's actually not supposed to be as high. So what's happening is it's increasing glutathione in the healthy tissues that are healthier tissues that are around it. And what happens is the tumor cell actually has a decrease in glutathione and, helps to, somewhat correct that aberrant aspect of it. So just be aware of that because I know it's been mentioned, and many of you have probably seen that other videos, talking about that if there is pushback, because you may get pushback from medical doctors, the patients should be aware that there is a paper out there that can discuss what's actually happening, that we're normalizing and increasing glutathione in regular normal cells, healthy cells. And what's happening is through that response, there's also a decrease and normalization of the glutathione production to bring it down in the tumor cells. So those are just the two highlights that I wanted to touch on. There's a lot of really cool details in this. I don't want to get into too much of it. There's one more thing I'll show you. It's pretty exciting. This is research that was done on mice with Immunocal. And one of the things that they showed was mortality rate at 28 weeks was, there was carcinogenic induced colon cancer in mice. That at 28 weeks, undenatured whey is, the Immunocal. There was zero mortality in that group. And there's a 33% mortality in casein and standard chow. But you see survival time at the end. So survival time, at the end of the study, it normalizes where the Immunocal and undenatured whey was basically the same as casein, even though they both beat out standard chow. So what happened was at 28 weeks, they actually switched the Immunocal to be regular casein. So they stopped administering, and this is all documented in the study, that they switched it to regular casein. So, and I'm still doing more research on this, but at 28 weeks, we had zero mortality. And, when they switched it, at the end of the study, there was obviously a much greater increase in the survival rate, or decrease in the survival rate. So I think that's very profound in my perspective, but I want to get a lot more details, and there's a lot more information in here, but really want to go and make sure that it is put together in a manner that is going to be useful for you. I just wanted to kind of give you those sound bites, but I think there's a lot of great data that's going to be very useful for you with working with your patients and clients to make sure that they have the most relevant and research-based information behind, the recommendations that you're providing. So that way they're not just getting the typical, response that maybe, well, I can't take that because my doctor said so. If you have information and if you have education and you have research behind it that you could actually potentially help that patient go back and be armed and prepared for that conversation with the oncologist, or if, when that happens. So I think it's exciting. I think there's a lot of great avenues that we can do and a lot of application for Immunocal, not just cancer, but that was just, my focus for today. And I thought I was going to have a lot more time to prepare today, but as things go with life, and today and business and kids and sports and stuff like that, schedules change at the drop of a dime sometimes for me. So I wasn't able to get as fully prepared for everybody. So, but I think it's at least from my initial deep dive, it's really profound, the results that we can actually help people with. And I want this information. I mean, the whole point, I think we mentioned this last time, is pay it forward. We want to get the education and information and impact to be at scale. And that's why we're all here. I know that's why you're all here. So this is it's pretty exciting. I appreciate you all being here, and would love any questions, but I don't know how much I can get into detail on the research that I just kind of covered. But um,
That's
Dr.
that's great, Seth. And I know Dan hadn't quite gotten to it, but just to kind of add to that, in Dr. Gutman's book, he talks about even if you choose to do chemo or radiation as part of your treatment protocol, adding the Immunocal has no contraindication and increases your outcomes. So there is benefit no matter which path you choose, and to adding the Immunocal to your cancer treatment. So that's great. And this is a unique thing, and I know that's why Seth and Dan are here, is the research that's available. So many products are on the market and they don't have the research. And so to be able to reference research, that's powerful to any doctor. And don't get me wrong, some doctors are so close-minded, they don't care. They're stuck in their lane So don't be frustrated by that, but you still want to talk to your loved one. If it's affecting a family member or a dear friend, you want to share this information. And you're not, yes, you're coming from a heart space, but you're also coming from a knowledge space. It's not just some hearsay or, hey, I heard of a friend that took this and did very well. This is published, peer review, published research. And, that's the standard in our healthcare industry. And to have that is just not matched when we're talking about food-based supplements. And then to have these functional patents that we can reference. And yes, we do have to be careful how we reference things. It's always a big no-no to use the cure word. And really, if you think about anything, are you ever really cured from it? No. You're always managing your health if you're proactive. You're managing your, insulin resistance and managing your cellular health and managing your cholesterol and managing your blood pressure. You just choose to manage it proactively and you aren't diagnosed as a hypertensive or hypercholesterolemia or all these different things. We're all managing cancer successfully. We all have cancer cells in our body. The goal is to manage it successfully. So there's no reason to use the cure word at all. We want to move forward in the most proactive way possible, and that's what this piece gives us, is a way to be proactive in so many conditions that usually we're like, the conversation is, my aunt, uncle, whatever had this. I hope I don't get it. That's the typical conversation. And now we can say, hey, I'm taking Immunical. This is boosting my glutathione, and that's greatly reducing my risk of all these different complications. And so just because you may not be bouncing off the walls like Dan yet, or or or, or having some miraculous turnaround with a health challenge, you are building up your health reserve. And when you're in the environments and the circles that I run in, that's what it's about, is building up your health reserve, your ability to resist infections, resist, whatever you're being exposed to, whether, we all went through the COVID thing. So look at what came out in the research there. The people that had the multiple comorbidities, they were the ones that were becoming the statistics. The people that were reasonably healthy and very healthy, they, basically went through without a challenge. And that's always going to be the case. Always going to be the case. But if you look really, I might be diverting a little bit, but if you look really, our level of deaths really didn't like spike or anything like that. What we did is people that were close to the end of their life, their mortality got accelerated by this virus is what we look back on and see as a result of this. And so again, your goal, my goal, Dan's goal, Seth's goal is to have this health timeline and life timeline match up as succinctly as possible. And that's why we're on here, because that's what this product allows us to do.
Well said.
Do we have any questions that we've skipped over?
I don't see any questions that are coming in. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to?
Yeah, Jessica has one. She's been looking into binders to take with Immunical related to Lyme's disease. Which binder, zeolite, charcoal, alginate, and what brand do you recommend?
Zeolite, and you just want a good brand that is putting pure products in. I don't. We use bentonite clay a lot. That's another one that's a good binder.
I did just hear Dr. Gutman say the other day that
Natural chelator.
yeah, glutathione in of itself is a binder because of how it chelates and prepares things for removal, through the liver and kidneys. I'm not saying you don't need a binder along with it, but that when I posed that question to him, that was his response was, in his experience, the glutathione itself is a binder. I'm sure, depending on how much you are detoxing, an additional binder may be supportive, but just something to consider.
Yeah, if you look at the way glutathione works in the body, that's what it does. It kind of packages up the toxins and allows it to be eliminated, usually via the kidneys. But the whole goal is that you just don't get so aggressive and start taking like 6 packs of this a day if you're trying to get over something, and then your liver can't keep up with processing what's being released from the cells. Uh, so that's where you run into problems. I always say, I say it 100 times, go slow and low. That means slowly increase the dosage and monitor your symptoms so that you aren't experiencing these Hertzheimer reactions.
And Elsa was asking, what dose do you recommend for a 6-year-old with autism?
It's usually weight. I don't know why but the standard adult dose is based on a 150-pound person. Most people are over that. And so you can use that as kind of a math. So simple math for the discussion is, let's say the 6-year-old is 75 pounds, then you would use half a packet to start and then increase until, um, autism. There's a lot of theories about autism. One of them is the heavy metals that get into the brain, especially from vaccinations. And so it takes a while for the product to get through the blood-brain barrier and detoxify the brain. So just be persistent and consistent with the product and give it time. I know we talk about 90 days, it raises your glutathione level by approximately 35%, but it hasn't worked its magic yet, so to speak. So you want to give it time, even with a 6-year-old, they've been dealing with this problem for years. And we want to give the product time to allow the body to optimally detoxify.
Yeah, so Elsa followed up with, so half for 90 days. So Elsa, it depends how much he weighs. So if he's 75 pounds, then yes, half a packet. And then what you can do is take the remaining half, put it in a baggie and store it in the refrigerator, and then use it the next day. And then I have a follow-up question for Elsa before we get to, is it Jaeger or Jaeger? I don't know how you pronounce it, but we'll get there next. Um, how and when would you determine if you use the Blue Basic with the 6-year-old, and when would you consider maybe migrating to the Platinum, which has additional benefits?
Are you asking me, Dan, or are you asking?
Yes,
Oh,
Dr. Bruce. I mean,
I
I'll ask Seth.
I would be very inclined to use the platinum in this case because of the cytokine activity that you're able to take advantage of with the platinum product.
What's the cytokine activity mean?
Well, it's a measure of inflammation, and that's what these toxins do is they inflame the body, inflame the brain, and they kind of create this increased reactivity of the central nervous system so that, we have this compilation of symptoms that we've labeled as autism. So the more that we can squelch that cytokine storm, which we heard a lot about during COVID, then the more we can mitigate the symptoms that precipitate from the toxins as the body's getting the toxins out of the system.
Okay, we got another question from someone by the name of iPhone. They are asking, is it recommended to take the basic Immunotech, the blue one, or the platinum? So I'll tell you that all the clinical research was done on one packet of the basic, the blue one. So you can't go wrong with the blue. But if you're looking for some additional benefits, you can consider the platinum and the sport, even if you're not looking at athletics. And I'll let Dr. Bruce or Seth explain the differences between when you would want to go with platinum and sport.
Well, I'll let Seth add, but I like the sport one, number one for athletes. But number two, most circulatory complaints, because it is going to help with circulation and it is going to, uh, so we use it a lot with our neuropathy patients because a big driver of neuropathy is poor circulation. Um, but if you're wanting to improve circulation because of a cardiovascular problem or high blood pressure, that might be one to look at as well. But again, the blue is a wonderful product and it's the most pure product. So if you're afraid that you would have any sensitivity to anything else, the blue is the straight, undenatured whey protein isolate.
Yeah. So I'll give you my perspective. So I started on the blue for a week or two, and then I added platinum. So what I'll do is I work out in the mornings, I come back after the workout, I have a platinum. Um, and then in the afternoon, I'll have the blue with the green booster. And I find that that's a great combo for me because one a day, and I weigh 170. So one a day, I noticed some improvements, but two a day, it was amazing. It was a game changer. So I think that's the key is go slow, go low, but then when you feel comfortable, increase a little and see how you feel. And if you go too fast, if you go too far, what do? You back off. It's so easy. It's ridiculous. It's not going to harm you. You just may over detox. You hear about a Herxheimer reaction all the time. And I'll let Seth explain what a Herxheimer reaction is because he's great at that. You're muted, Seth. There you go.
Thanks. So a Herxheimer reaction is really just a process of your body, going through a reaction to chemicals or a stress, physical or chemical stress, emotional stress that is creating a response that you're going to have a symptom from. So it's going to create a histamine release with your immune system. Potentially, when the detoxification is too much and your body can't handle it, your liver can't process it, there can be overflow, which is then just going to create um, you know, things in the bloodstream that the body doesn't want to be there. The immune system responds. That immune system response increases takes care of it. There's a histamine release. That histamine release can, manifest as a headache, can manifest as fatigue, um, muscle aches. There's a lot of different things that it can manifest as. Um, you're muted, Dan. You're muted, Dan. Sorry. But that's a Herxheimer reaction. Is basically it's a detoxification reaction is a simple way to, state it because it's going too quickly. You're going too quickly with the body. And if you
Good.
hear the chipmunks in the background, that's my son just turned on the TV.
We
I
don't
don't
hear
know.
it. Zoom blocks
Okay,
it out.
it's like so loud here.
Okay, next question. Is this the only glutathione precursor that can raise our glutathione levels by 30% in 90 days?
The only proven one.
And
Great.
one without a reaction. So
Yeah.
like there's other things like obviously NEC that can increase, but the increase in that there's side effects that can occur with that.
Okay, so Elsa's asking now, would you do half the blue and half the platinum together? You could, but I would start with
With
half the blue, make sure he's good with that, and then experiment. And you could even do a quarter. You could do a quarter of a platinum and see how he does. And then if that's good for a couple of days to a week, add another quarter. So now you're a half and half.
But Dan brings up a good point. Make sure you're storing it in the refrigerator once it's open. That's best. And Ziploc bag.
Now, Rick has a great question here. What are the top points to focus on in delivering information to a person who doesn't want to absorb all the science involved in Immunical? So that was my wife. She doesn't want to know anything technical. She's like, in fact, she doesn't want to know anything. She just wants to know, should I take it or shouldn't I? And I go, do you want to be healthier? Yes. Do you want to live longer? Yes. Do you want to get rid of skin wrinkles? Give me that. Where is it? And that was all it took. So it's going to make your skin healthier. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be more resistant against colds and flus. And you're going to be protected against damaging things that affect your skin. Keep it simple. I mean, women, forget women. Everybody wants to look better. This is the age of looking good until you're 90. So it's definitely going to help with your skin.
I would just add to that. Absolutely. And I actually got that response from a client yesterday, as far as like the color came back into her skin. Like it was, she was feeling like it was grayish, had all sides, kinds of other issues going on, anxiety. But that was one thing she noticed quickly within the first week was she's like, I feel like I have life again and I can see it in my skin. But regarding the question of how do you give that information to an individual without all the science, I think it's the most important to understand where that patient's coming from. So understanding what their priority is, understanding what's important to them, understand what's their goals, because you can adapt your response to every single person to meet their goals. So I think that's the most important is you want to find out what's important to them. And obviously, if you're working with them as a doctor and healthcare practitioner, you're going to understand what is going on with their health. Because glutathione increasing in the body can be made relevant for every single individual and what they're dealing with. So I would just make it relevant to them. Plus Dan's thing where everybody wants to be young and earlier, and that's my son. So, all right.
UGC video for your business. Find me and
I think if you can just remember what Dr. Gutman teaches, the acronym IDEA, that's so easy. And I is inflammation, D is detoxification, A is antioxidant, and E is energy. And those are the four biggies with glutathione. And yes, I would definitely ask, well, what's your health goal, And it's easiest to address a person when you understand what their goal is or what their desire is with health. And that's, as a physician, what's the first thing they ask you? What's your chief complaint? And sometimes we'll even say it like this: if I could wave a magic wand, if people are being vague or whatever, if I could wave a magic wand and 90 days from now you would have this level of health, what would that look like for you? And so get them to describe their ideal vision for their health and then explain how this can get them on that path to that level of health.
And I'd recommend something. So I've been selling for 50 years. I mean, that's my background, sales. I've been trained at multi-billion-dollar corporations. I've gone through their training programs. And Tibor and Kim hosted Tom Big Al Schreider over the weekend. And I would encourage all of you to go on YouTube and search on his material. It is spot on, especially for this. He simplifies it. First of all, he tells you that every single person has already made up their mind about the fact that they want this. So all you have to do is get a yes out of them. I mean, that's all we're doing. And in my mind, when I'm talking to people, in my mind, they want this. So they either want it for their personal use, so they're going to be a customer, or they want it to be a business. There's no other choice for them because I don't know anybody that doesn't want to be healthier, live longer, and make some extra money. I mean, I just don't know anybody. Point them out to me. I've never met anybody that would say no to those three things. So I know if they don't go with it, it's my fault. I did something wrong. And usually it's I talk too much. So he's great at explaining, just don't talk yourself out of a sale, out of someone moving forward. And I found that out a lot with what Dr. Bruce just said and what Seth said, is that's getting in step with the customer, getting in step with your patient, getting in step with your client. Too often we're talking at people, we're not listening to them. And if we listen to them, they're telling you what it is that's going to be their driver, their motivator.
That's the number one complaint that patients have when they go to a doctor. My doctor didn't listen to me. So you be different and listen. Guide the conversation with questions, but listen. And nine
Which
times out of 10, they will tell you exactly what you need to address or say for them to commit to using this product.
We have another question here. Which box and booster is best for arthritis? What dosage would you recommend for a beautiful 60-year-old woman with severe arthritis? I edited it a little.
I was going to say, it doesn't.
So what are you thinking, guys? Platinum?
I think that's a good go-to.
Yeah. For the cytokine and inflammatory response support, and the additional creatine for muscle, support. So you don't have, you're also supporting muscle integrity and strength, especially into aging. That's one of the key things that I think for anyone in the aging category or somebody that wants to support healthy muscle function, the platinum can definitely be a great choice.
Okay, look at Elsa answered her also right underneath. She's helping out here. She said for arthritis, she takes the green, the blue, and the gray after her walk and before the gym and feels great. So the green would be the booster, the blue is the basic, and the gray would be the platinum, I'm assuming.
Yep. And minerals are excellent for arthritis and inflammation. Can't forget those basic nutrients.
Oh, here's a great question. Would this be safe to take for someone with chronic kidney disease?
100%.
Would you recommend the platinum? No. It's got creatine in it, even though it doesn't have a lot in it. I would probably shy away from that. I don't know how severe the chronic kidney disease is, but I would stay with the blue. That would be my recommendation.
I think you're spot on there, Dan. You don't want to put extra stress on the kidneys when you have a chronic situation.
And keep in mind, this is in the PDR. It's in the physician's desk reference guide. So you can go to your doctor and ask him. Don't take our word for it. Don't guess. Just ask your doctor. And he can look it right up and he can see and tell you. And if he doesn't know anything about it, he should. If the blue is pure, as you mentioned, okay. Wait, it's moving on me. How would you describe the gray and black? Non-pure in what way? No, they're all the same. They're all immunical. They're all the blue. And then what the platinum has and the sport have is they have some additional nutrients in there to help with specific.
Yeah, it's not that they're not pure. It's just what I was trying to emphasize is the blue only has the undenatured whey protein isolate. The platinum and the black have other ingredients as well. And not that they're not pure, it's just additional stuff. And just like we were talking about with the chronic kidney disease, if a person has lots of things going on, they might want to start with the blue just to allow their system to have the least amount of challenges in breaking down the product. So the creatine can be a challenge on the kidneys. And so going with the straight immunical is the way to go. And so everything's pure. It's obviously safe to consume it, and you would never call it not pure. You would just say there's more than one ingredient.
Right. So here we're getting into Big Al territory. So what is Big Al's page again? So go to YouTube and search on, somebody will type it in for you. Tom Big Al Schreiter, Schereiter. That's the best way to find it. He's got a bunch of books out there. You can find them on Amazon if you like to read. And if you want to watch them on YouTube, you can do that. But Tibor, I see you came in here too. They're asking if there's a recording from this weekend. There is. Tibor will put it up.
Somebody just posted the link. It's in the chat.
Yeah, it's in the chat. And then what I was going to suggest, I spoke to Tibor yesterday. I really think, for those that are looking to get into the business side, or even for the doctors that are looking to work better with their patients, it would be great if we could do maybe one call a week and even just listen to one of the YouTube videos for those that are interested together and just discuss it, and relate it to what we're doing with Immunotech products. I think that would be extremely valuable for everyone, myself included. Let's see, what do we got next? What's your recommended response when a person says, I can't afford $120 a month? Oh, that's easy. They should become a consultant at Immunotech and make a little bit of extra money, and their supplements will be free because they'll cover the cost by just introducing it to some people that they know and helping them to be healthier. That would be my recommendation. It's pretty easy.
And the subscription, they save 25%.
Yeah.
And it's a 30-day money back guarantee. But the rewards and referral for others is a no-brainer, because then they can become healthier without any cost.
Yeah. So I'll give you a live example. So I had a client, and we're putting the son on Immunical. So we started on the blue. So then the mother was asking me some questions about it. She says, "Oh, I should probably take this too." So she says, "I'm going to start taking it." And then she read on the website, and then she had some inflammation. She said, "Maybe I should do the platinum." So I said, "Yeah, but start with the blue and then migrate over when you feel comfortable and go slow." Then she said, "Well, my son is 28. Maybe he should be on 2." And we said, "Well, all right, but go slow. Just add it up." Then she said, "Well, if we're now going to do 2 each, wouldn't it make sense for us to become a consultant? And then because we're getting great results now, and then I could refer other people and just give them my link, and they could buy through me, and I could earn some money, and that would go towards offsetting the cost of my supplements for my son and I." And I said, "Yeah, you could." So then she goes, "But I don't know anything about sales," because she's a nurse. So I said, "Well, you're not really selling. You're just telling them the truth, what you're experiencing. And they're either going to say, yes, they want to try it, or they're going to say no. And either way, your life is going to go on just like it did before." So she said, "All right, that makes sense." So then she introduces me to a friend of hers. So her friend happens to run a YouTube podcast. Well, he has 200,000 active followers. So she's like, "Oh, is that a good thing?" I said, "Well, yeah, because if he becomes a consultant, then he can introduce it to his podcast followers. And if they start buying the product, you'll benefit and he'll benefit." So that's what's happening. And then there's another connection that we got through that to someone who's written a book on life extension. And I spent an hour and a half on the phone with him, and he's very interested, and he's meeting with Bruce Lipton in California. And I don't know if anyone knows Bruce Lipton, but he's the best-selling author of Biology of Belief and has hundreds of thousands of followers. And then from there, he's going to Sedona to a life extension webinar, a seminar, not a webinar, where he's speaking about the book he wrote in front of 1,000 people. And from there, he's going to Mexico, and then he's connected with the Polish community. And oh, lo and behold, he knows many network marketers in Poland. So that all started from one packet of Immunical for her son, who needed it desperately. And it just evolves. You don't know where you're going to end up. Just listen to people and talk. Common sense stuff. What else?
Okay. I'm going to interject because we're past 9 o'clock, and I do want to give you all a preview. I have confirmed that next week Dr. Jeff Donahue is going to join us as well. And he would be the guy if you have medical questions because he's a medical doctor. But he says he's available next week and is going to join us next week. So we will add him to the panel at least for next week and bring in his expertise. He also has I don't know how many clinics where he does the IV infusions and things like that. So this is a guy that sees the vision and sees that this is the way to go because of the research. And in essence, you know, it's probably on one hand hurting his income a little bit, but he's a ethical doctor and he's telling his patients the best way to improve their health. So we'll be excited to have him next week as well. Any final parting words, Dan?
You have one more question, but maybe we should save it for Dr. Donahue. It's my wife was diagnosed with chronic kidney failure and she takes platinum 2 packets a day.
Okay, that's more a statement, I think. That's great. I assume
Okay.
she's getting great results because it's a wonderful product. But as long as they're, which most chronic kidney failure people are, they're doing their blood work, they're monitoring their creatine and all that in their blood. So I'd definitely encourage you to do that if you have a problem.
And iPhone is asking, she has a friend that wants to join. So all of you, if you have friends that want to join, just share the link with them, the Zoom link. The more, the better.
Absolutely.
Everyone's welcome.
Absolutely.
Can you take extra amino acids with Aminocal, or is that counterproductive?
You can take extra amino acids, but it's not going to contribute to the production of glutathione.
It's just good protein.
Yeah, it's going to contribute to enzyme production or protein production, that type of thing. Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
deep dive and research, Seth. That was awesome.
You bet. Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
And
Dr. Phillips, tomorrow at
yes.
1, you want to mention the call tomorrow at 1?
Yep, and we'll be on tomorrow at 1 p.m. to focus on the European market, but everybody is more than welcome to join if you're available.
Link is in the chat.
Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
I've been with Aminotech for 22 years, so I have a lot to tell about too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening. Closing out the room. Have a great evening. Bye-bye, everyone.